What the money can do, what the money can do, what the money can do, well, what the money can do, what the money can do, what the money can do, what the money can do. I put my money in the red bank. Before I was buying the money, I left my money in the red bank. Hey, yeah. I never switch it from them. They can't let my style, but the money can concentrate them. Hey, yeah. Please, please, oh. How'd you know now? Please, please, oh. How'd you know now? Please, Nana, me, a dabuna. You a dabuna. You a dabuna. You don't get more like you want a dabuna. Today, una pay as you call. Looking for it. And see money begging, I can see that to the heart. Looking for it.
I'm looking for it. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is your boy Duke. Yeah, man, we're on it tonight. Go ahead and share the link.
Well, what the money can do, what the money can do, what the money can do.
There's one gift that I have, and that gift is to communicate. That gift is to educate. That gift is to give all that I have.
Monkey had to calm down. Monkey calm down. Monkey calm down. If Makabagi, they say you want me calm down. Monkey calm down. Monkey calm down. Money for him, for ground. Monkey calm down. Monkey calm down. Y'all monkey swear say now I calm down. Monkey calm down. What the money can do? 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 Well, what the money can do? What the money can do? What the money can do? What the money can do?
Thank you, Rita. Let's go ahead and share the link. My name is Duke Strider JJ, and I'm telling you, I'm on it tonight. Let's make it happen.
Yes.
Nobody's stupid here. Again, good evening, my people. I know it's been a minute since I've been on Facebook Live, but tonight we're here to have a conversation. So while you're at it, let's go and share the link.
They tell me they call me King Solomon. The old man they call me King Solomon. The champions they call me King Solomon. Your girlfriends they call me King Solomon. King Solomon. My ways don't do plenty, King Solomon. My junior do plenty, King Solomon. Everybody call me King Solomon. King Solomon. Hey, hey. Baby, I feeling go, I won't banjo. Hey, Marco, I feeling
Liberian music to the word.
Now she won't get in my
doing everything that we can to make our little contributions.
Mom in love with my Swisses and Jojo.
Again, the name is Duke Strider JJ. We on it tonight. When I sweet get sentita, Nika bring your friend Mona Lisa. Everybody call me King Solomon. King Solomon. Bring all your friends about King Solomon. King Solomon. I do it. I do it. I do it. One love to live. I want enjoy. One love to live. I want enjoy. Let's go ahead and share the link.
I want to do it my will. I want to get in my head. I in my head, no stressing. Me no like paparazzi. All of them calling me King Solomon. I'm a lade and a lassie. I'm me a woman answer when you know yourself too. You fornicating. I want to do it my will. I want to get in my head. I in my head, no question, no stress. Everybody call me King Solomon. King Solomon. They tell me they call me King Solomon. King Solomon. The old man they call me King Solomon.
Listening, found a friend like me. We ain't got too many friends around here. Let me tell you that for sure.
Beats.
I want to say shout out to all the low evil spirits who are actually on this live, not clicking on but watching in the back. All the people who are following from secret accounts. I want to say welcome to all of y'all. Find a friend like me. You know, in life you gotta find Google friends. You know, some friends are loyal, some friends are disloyal. Some friends don't have no damn time. But so is life, man. Either way, we move on. But I know I got some besties in here, so I want to say thanks to all of you. We'll continue to remain in our corner, supportive of what we do. Because at the end of the day, we're doing it for Liberia as well. So I'm appreciative of all of that. So, but you know, this joint is not easy. Anyways. All right, man. So let's go into take up things here real quick. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say, welcome to this emergency podcast. And usually, we tend to try to be more consistent here, but sometimes our goals, our ambitions, all the hard work that we, do trying to pour into ourselves, keep us from actually, keep us from actually, being on here regularly and talking to our people. Notwithstanding, when we see an opportunity to be able to educate, teach, we do our best in making sure that we're talking about these issues, right? So, on that note, we'll be back on the airways on the weekends because I think it is important that we continue to do that. I tell people first and foremost, in my entire life, one thing that I live for is to protect my integrity, to protect my beliefs, and not waver, even if it means that people are lost along the way. So is life. But in addition to that, I trust the fact that I know the value that I bring to a process. And so I'm not wavered because at the end of the day, like brother say, experienced player don't suffer for jersey. So nothing really bothers me because some of us, the reason why we get involved in educating our people is because we really believe in, the dawn of a new day in Liberia. And we believe that there's this repetitive system of individuals who have actually clouded our political space, as I've always stated. These individuals have been partly, if not fully or wholly responsible for the chaos that we've seen in Liberia for a long time. And so, just a little bit of, a background overview of just me and the decisions, in terms of being involved in our body politics, so we can retrospect a little bit, and possibly it can serve as premise for why, I do things a certain way. So, at the end of 2017, what happened is that, I saw an opportunity to first and foremost after that result, I thought perhaps that it was the end of the road for me. And so at that time, I thought perhaps let's go ahead and find something else to do. Just forget about the Liberian people and all of the things that we've seen thus far, and just move on into your own space and focus on your own life. But then, after I took a step back, I realized that, probably not the smartest thing to do because when you're in for a cause, you don't give up so easily. You try to push harder. In addition to that, I saw something in, one particular candidate, which is Mr. Cummings. And so, because of what I saw in Mr. Cummings, the way I felt of the vision of Mr. Cummings, I felt that, this is what it was the first urgency of now that collectively we can, work together, embracing the bar and taking down this establishment, a core of these core of establishment politicians that have only occupied the space and caused more destruction for us as well. Anyway, long story short, so we began this march towards making sure that we were fighting unapologetically for the people of Liberia, and even during periods wherein we had to, hold ourselves back, put ourselves aside and think for the overall bigger picture. We continue to do that because we believe that it was in the interest of the country, in the interest of our people as well. Now, I think we've earned the respect from those who have actually followed us on this joining. Those who have followed us know the output, the level of quality that we've put in promoting the ANC, selling the vision of Mr. Cummings. Some of us did it tirelessly. Some of us did it, amidst the insult, the undermining, and all the foolishness. But we put everything into it because we believe that this is the way forward. And so we continue to do that. And in doing that, sometimes we will have conversations that may not be appeasing to other people. But however, we live and learn through our processes, our differences, and we move on. But Liberia is an interesting society. And tonight I speak to you all from my heart. And there's purity in my heart. And I hold no regrets. I actually, like I said, my stance against the government of Liberia has been something that I hold no regrets. I hold no regrets. I'm unapologetic about my expressions. And, because I know where it comes from. It comes from a good place. Look, listen, I don't toot my own horn, but I will say this here, somebody like me, I am proud of the man that I am because I come with honesty, integrity, and truthfulness in my heart. That's why when I take up a cause, I become so passionate about it, so driven. And in the process, just for my little time occupying this space, there are people who come around with people with this kind of qualities and stuff for their own personal reason. But anyways, so let's go into things. So there's been Mitch. I'm glad you're feeling well, man. Happy to see you back out here as well. Once you feel you're comfortable enough, a person pay a call to you. But anyway, there are a lot of things that have been happening. And today, somebody called me from social media and is a young woman who's been, uh, um, who admires Mr. Cummings and the ANC. A young woman who happens to be, really interested about politics. But then she admitted that one of the reasons why she remains, focused and looking at the things that there is because of people like us, people like me, who take the social media and to see the fight, and she wanted clarity. And we had a heart-to-heart conversation. The hardest thing for me when it comes to that particular conversation I was having with that young lady, and it was a couple other people today, was to, for the first time, sit back and think about bigger picture. And I remember telling her, I said, this is hard for me because I'm the same guy just a few minutes ago was just shouting and so frustrated. But I have to communicate to you from a teaching standpoint so that all of us can understand sometimes that we may not agree with every decision. Here, Bertha, we may not agree with everything that happens. My people will not agree with the way we believe decisions should be made. But in the interest of Liberia, all of us must take a step back, breathe, and do the right thing. I know the conversation's been out there about this list. Now, let me say this first and foremost, that all of us have our own opinions about that particular list. Granted, all of us have different views and opinions about what should be done. I understand. But all of us should take a step back. And regardless of how we feel inside and how bitter and how angry, how upset, and just think for a second. I'm doing this today because I think that as a leader in my own capacity, I think that sometimes when you see that your team is falling apart, there's got to be a voice that can go ahead and bring some sort of reason into the process. And that's what I'm doing. I just want to bring some sort of reason to this process and just reassure people. I'm not here to attack anybody. So if you're here and thinking that that's what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do that. I'm not stupid, and I'm not going to go that far. What I'm here to do is to use my gift to be able to educate our people and to give our people some level of assurance, especially our people in the diaspora. So you see, when Mr. Cummings said that we are all eating from this big bowl, that analogy is used because we are all working in the interest of Liberia. And the overall focal point, or the focal point of what we do, the overall objective, is to make sure that we all will have disagreements about how things should go. But at the end of the day, we try to move in the middle and meet right here, so we can be able to look at our disagreements, work through our disagreements, and be able to fight in the interest of the Liberian people. My people, let me just say, yeah, we as supporters are welcome here. Let me just say this to y'all. Our country, Liberia, is a complex society. Our country, Liberia, is a complex society. Our nation is a complex society. Our people, as people, we have a lot to do to be able to get to that destination. And so when you're building a campaign, the campaign needs to mirror the society that we see in terms of Liberia. And, the people, its inhabitants. And there's a mixed bag of people. There are people one time you opposed. There are some people that you loved. There's some people that you hate. There's some people you've been critical of. But at the end of the day, though, it is about the country Liberia. Let me tell you what I said to this woman today. I said, I want you to just be open-minded, and I want you to accept the fact that I am the guy who really agrees with you and hate everything that you hate, dislike everything about the list that you said. But I want us to be honest with ourselves, though. If we're upset, if we're mad, if we're talking all of these things about that particular list, though, let's be reasonable and take a look at the society, Liberia, and say that, what is this society about, and how can we get to our destination point? Our society, Liberia, mimics everything about that particular campaign list. Our people are definitely who they are, and unfortunately, that's how Liberians see things. That's how they vote. That's how they associate themselves. And so we should be open-minded. But one important thing that I want you to listen to, I always trust the leadership of Mr. Cummings. I will always trust the vision of Mr. Cummings. And even though there will be points wherein I will be bitter, I will be hurt, I will be frustrated, but I feel comfortable in knowing that he understands what he's doing. So let me help you with another point, and something that I want you to think about here. You see, when Mr. Cummings becomes president of Liberia, become president, Mr. Cummings is going to become president for the Republic of Liberia. In the Republic of Liberia, there's male, female, there's young, there's old. The criminals, the Christians, the Muslims, the pastors, the good people, the bad people. The decision he makes is going to be in the interest of the Liberian people. And so his responsibility is to lead the country in its entirety. Not about individuals, not about personal opinions, not about personal biases, not about how one person feels, but how can he perform as a leader to bring some sort of relief and clarity to our people overall. This is the overall focus, right? This is the overall objective, that from a leadership standpoint, the goal, the objective here is to make sure that he is doing all that he can to be able to bring some sort of change, hope, and aspiration to the Liberian people. And so in that light, we can't really be so frustrated and upset and to the point wherein we are losing our focus, per that period. I think this is the time that we need to stand together even more. This is the time that we need to, continue to focus on the whys. Why did we start this journey? This is the time that we need to understand that each and every one of us are pivotal pieces, right, to this particular puzzle that we're trying to solve, the Liberia. And that at this crucial moment, that nobody gets to only make it only about one section of the population, but make it as a collective effort where all of us are actually holding that steering and driving to our destination point. It is really difficult for me to sit on life and actually say this to you. And if I tell you how I felt a few hours ago, a few days ago, it was a different person, but I was not really mad, so a little upset because of some. But for me, it's just about standing on the foundational principles, right? But we have to be truthful. We have to be honest. But I saw the need because I know there will be a lot of waves of attacks, and I saw some things that I laughed, and I had to hold myself back and not really get involved and just sit back because things happen. Things really do happen. And I know a lot of people were expecting for me to come here and start talking and bashing and all of this stuff. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. That's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for is to be able to bring some level of calm to soothe the hearts and minds of people. To understand that you are not even better than me. In addition to that, I know how you feel. Me, I hate the system. I do. I really hate the system. I really dislike system characters. I do. I really seriously oppose people who have been part of that, a community or that particular conglomerate of failed individuals who have been responsible for the structural damage of the country. I really do. But I think that we need to cross that point. We need to reach to that border point where we're extending our hands and giving grace as needed because at this very crucial time, all of us need that. On to my next point. So the second part of this, and I say etu brute and the stuff. I sat down and listening to the situation involved in the rice situation in Liberia. And yesterday I was in the middle of something and I saw a video wherein Samuel Jackson was actually in the streets of Monrovia and playing damage control for the government of Liberia. And making a saying that he was there as a peaceful man and trying to talk to all these people in the market and understand to be able to communicate and all of the nonsense that he was saying. And I laughed because I know Samuel Jackson and I know the kind of person he is. And I know what the government of Liberia is going through him. But I also understand that the Liberian people have reached a point wherein that they're not ignorant. They understand that what's happening in that country, if there needs to be something that change the narrative. So why is the government comfortable with using people like Samuel Jackson to continue to serve as some kind of damage control agents for them? First and foremost, Samuel Jackson was in charge of pricing control during the Talbot, administration. And and he was one of those people, the regular faces that have been around, that's been part of the destruction of Liberia. Economically speaking, Samuel Jackson's had a lot of opportunities to be able to fix some of these issues that are happening today. You understand me? Samuel Jackson was tasked with the responsibility of creating solutions for some of the financial nightmares that we see today. And it is part of Samuel Jackson's template. When you talk about new banknotes, I remember that before when we used to have the ginger banknotes and stuff, those were all in play by the likes of Samuel Jackson. So Samuel Jackson's been this regular face of disaster, economic disaster. Same thing from government to government. He has been relieved because his style of economics does not work in Liberia. So I find it pretty interesting that the government of Liberia continues to use it as a hired assassin or whatever the hell it is to try to promote or try to create some sort of illusion to make people think that something's happening. But the truth here is nobody's buying into the likes of a Samuel Jackson. It was a Samuel Jackson who recommended that the government of Liberia have the economic conference. And part of his suggestion that conference was going to spur some sort of investment activities from those Saudi Arabian countries, the Middle Eastern countries and stuff into Liberia. That's what he said. And so when the government of Liberia took his advice, and even though we said that it was a waste of time, they argued that the so-called economic conference, right, was going to be responsible for kickstarting the Liberian economy. I said that from a practical standpoint, and I've always remained consistent. You know, when you know your stuff, you know your stuff. I don't have to read book before showing. We know it. We know what practicality is. I tell people, part of my experience, a part of the blessings that we've had, I've worked doing some of the most challenging economic crises in America, in the financial sector. And we've learned, we've acquired skill set. We've seen how corporations and how American policy, U.S. policies, been able to spur economic turnaround during those difficult times, during COVID hit. Majority of these corporations did not envision a period where they would go with 0% growth, absolute regression, businesses failing all over. Nobody accounted for that. But American policies found a way to keep those businesses afloat, to keep the financial sector afloat, and they found a way to be able to take the economy through those challenging periods. Something that we've not been able to do in Liberia. Interestingly, something we have not been able to do in the Republic of Liberia. Imagine. So then it leads me to the point. The We administration have actually orchestrated its own internal collapse. And there's no coming back. My people, I tell you, Alexander Cummings is going to be the next president of the Republic of Liberia. I'm not saying it. He's going to be the next president of the Republic of Liberia. The writings are on the wall. The CDC administration is collapsing. They're falling apart. They're absolutely falling apart. I'm not saying it because I'm trying to just put things out there, but I'm saying it because look at what's happening. All of these things are economic indicators. Those are warning signs that tell you that the country is falling apart, and is reaching what we call a tipping point. Liberia is reaching a tipping point. And it's happening before our very own eyes. And another prediction, the Joseph Boyka campaign is going to collapse. I'm not even going to go there because I know for a fact. So that leaves Alexander Cummings. And so the rice issue is much more deeper than just bringing people to import rice in the country and think that you can use the Band-Aid solution. I keep telling people, and we kept saying it for a long time, this government's been living on Band-Aid solutions. And what happens to Band-Aid solutions? They're not long-term fixes or long-term solutions. They're temporary suggestions, right, to just keep things afloat. But eventually it's going to fall apart. It's like using duct tape to put on the pipe and having water shoot through the broken part of the pipe with the duct tape. At a certain point in time, the tape, the thing from within the tape's going to fall apart. And that tape's going to remove. And then what happened? You have this big explosion of water all over the place. This is what's happening to Liberia. The country is in a state of total collapse. And something needs to be done. And I'm telling you, the bottom billion from Paul Collier states that Liberia did not escape the claws of the Civil War. Liberia, after all these years of civil war, have not created the economic transformation that it needs to move into that category that makes people comfortable, that you know what, they're not susceptible. Liberia is a susceptible nation, meaning that it is prone to violence, economic collapse. Everything's happening. Who runs a country for 6 years with no strategies in place, no job growth, zero accountability, bunch of murders around the country, and you think that the country is going to survive? Nobody does that. So the CDC administration is falling apart. But from an important standpoint, we need to be able to understand that there's a bigger picture ahead. And true, everybody is part of this journey. Nobody is more important than anybody on this journey, trust me. So you can forget about that. People talk, there's nobody, because everybody's needed to be able to shift, to move in the direction that we need to move the country in for us to see the kind of results. And that's what we're going to do. And it means that people in the diaspora must challenge people in Monrovia and push them to be better, to do better. People who have been given the wheels to draft the narrative should be held accountable. That's just the purpose of full process, a wholesome process that takes into account that all of us have equal responsibilities to make sure we're driving this kind of result. And I'm telling you, Cummings is going to win. It's not a joke. Alexander Cummings is going to win. I'm not saying that it is true. Look at everything around you. It's only going to get worse. Collectively, he's building something that's never been done before. And if it's been done before, that's been replicated, but that's going to expand based upon ingenuity, based upon minds, right? It's going to work. And people say, oh man, you got to focus there and do this and stuff. What are we going to do with the whole Joseph Boyka thing? Forget about Joseph Boyka. I hate to come and talk about Unity Party here. Everybody knows. Look, let me tell you something. I'm not coming to take shots at the Unity Party, but I'll say that the Unity Party is compared the structure of the Unity Party to the current CDC administration. That party is leaning. Financially, they have not really driven or had the kind of movements needed to give them any kind of sign, because there's no money, there's no resources. So financially, you cannot go into election with our resources. They're struggling. So Unity Party is not even anything to worry about, right? There's a possibility that if everything is done in accordance, worst case scenario, Mr. Cummings make it the second round. But there's even an increasing chance that Mr. Cummings might close this thing here in the first round victory. It is possible that it's going to happen in the first round. Because the government continues to give gifts not only to the opposition, but make it very easy for people to make a decision. And it will get worse. You think rice is the only thing that's starting? Wait till you see, as we progress into the new month and the next month, there will be a lot of things happening to this government. And it's not because people are intentionally orchestrating it. It's because of all the mistakes that they've made. They've been playing with Russian roulette. They've been playing this game that's eventually is going to come back to haunt them. But some of us are going to be here to speak about those issues. Like I said, my gift is my voice. And my mind is something that I'm proud to have, because there's a lot of sense in this mind, a lot of creativity in this mind. And that's why I said, put your best person up front, any platform, and let's have a conversation and see, who leads from there and getting their aims and objectives accomplished. So there's a collapse when it comes to the government. Liberia, the entire structure of CDC is falling apart. The government's falling apart. Do you see that they released their campaign list today, the CDC? Go see that nonsense. They're not going anywhere. They're under extreme pressure. Now you're under pressure from consumers wearing now no food in the country, no rice. The business owners are challenging you. You cannot, there's no dredging at the port. I mean, a lot of the bigger ships are not even coming through because of the mess that you have at the port. Ineffective leadership and people who have actually orchestrated the collapse of the republic, of the economy. So these are the things that I wanted to touch quickly, and just reach out and just talk to people, just inspired. I know, I post out of people like, oh, you're gonna do this. No, trust me, I'm not here to bash nobody. I'm done. We meet the country where they are, and it's easy, and some people will go like, oh, where's the change? Where's that? No, relax. We know Mr. Cummings is clean hands, but he's gonna be president of the Republic of Liberia. He's gonna drive a narrative for all Liberians. And you know what? Let me tell you something. If there's anything we should look at, We should look at how brilliant of a leader he is. Because if you can bring people, there's diversity in the particular list, in that particular team. So for me, this is another opportunity for Liberians to really pay attention to his leadership skills. If I were you, I would want to take a look at exactly what he's doing and pay attention. You're bringing people from all over, from different disciplines, different backgrounds, different things, and with baggage, some of them clean, some of them whatever it is and stuff, and you're bringing them under this team, and you have to lead them. I want to see how they're led, right? How they can get together and work to be able to accomplish. I mean, to me, that's brilliance. If you ask me, there's brilliance to just come and be able to orchestrate and bring things together, right? Especially in that order. That's amazing. And hopefully, we can understand it from that standpoint and just look at exactly the direction we're going in and how things are going to be orchestrated. The bad people in Liberia, but there are more good people in Liberia. Now, nobody stops anybody from being critical. I know I wouldn't want anybody to stop me from being critical about, my beliefs, on issues, and we'll hold people accountable. But at the end of the day, I think we should be very, very objective in our thought processes. Now, that's also to say that those who bear the responsibility of doing what is required to drive results will definitely be held accountable, and so that one, is obvious, and those are the things that we should be pushing for. But overall, I think collectively we have actually reached this point now wherein we're gonna continue to expand. They're gonna continue to drive results, and moving into election, I believe that this is a good starting point. Especially just the first part of it, because there are additional lists and additional appointments or whatever it is going to come out. But this is the beginning point, right, of understanding how this campaign is shaping, right? And all of those self-righteous individuals, one thing that Liberians good for, hypocrisy, right? And hypocrisy. Now, the same people will tell you that, oh, Mr. Cummings say you are going to be a clean person. But when Mr. Cummings was being insulted, attacked, and taken to court, a lot of these people did not take a stand. They didn't speak on his behalf. They didn't say that it was wrong what they did to this man. They saw the clean man who was fighting the same system. All of them remain mute about it. Suddenly now, they want to preach this self-righteousness, right? That's the hypocrisy of our people. This is some of the reason why our country continues to struggle, because there are too many people who are exploits, who are only using opportunities or looking for opportunities to take away from a process. And there are other people who are there for all the right reasons. But either ways, we can't just only focus on that. We would just focus on the overall intent and see how best to drive that as well. Look, listen, I know how some of you feel. I know how I feel, right? But in the end, right, this is the society that we're dealing with. And to be able to, thrive within the society, to be able to navigate within that space, you've got to be able to bring some level of collective, some collective efforts from all over this diversity, right? In America, there's diversity. People from different discipline that can help us to drive the narrative. So, on that note, my people, let me say that, yes, if the CDC people can continue all the strategy, Maggie, it's not going to work. They're on their own. They've lost it. Joshua is not winning any election in that country. I can tell you that. Joshua is not going to win any election in that country. Two things will happen. I'm not going to say the other one, but I'll tell you this, not going to happen. Because I know for a fact that the Liberian people are tired and they don't have the capacity to deal with what's coming away, because there's more pressure. You get done with rights. What happened? More people is going to be sanctioned from the government. A lot of things going to be happening in the government, right? Yeah. So nobody's worried about the George Weah administration, because right now the backs are on the wall. It's going to happen. So my people, listen, let's bring clarity to this. Don't get deterred. Don't get carried away. Don't, get frustrated or whatever it is. Know that there is a purpose behind everything, and all of us must be drivers, right, to this destination. We all need to be able to get together to that destination. Don't listen to people say, "Oh, the man clean. Oh, but he no different." So listen, Liberians will talkers. Hey, Regina, we're talkers. We only know how to talk all day. But when it comes to action, we don't. We always want to shift blame on other people, right? Transfer aggression. But when it comes to standing up for people, we don't do a good job at it. We always want somebody to take the sole responsibility of living up to our expectations, but then we're not doing the things that are required. You understand me? To be able to help the people to get there. This is a microcosm of the society in Liberia. I don't like it. You don't like it. That's life. That's what happened. So on that note, my people, I want to say thank you. I, really had great to have this conversation here. We'll be back again next Saturday. We're going to be able to, be on live and talking about all the things that we need to talk. On that note, it was a pleasure having this quick conversation. Hopefully, we brought some kind of little, calm to the situation here. You have a good day, okay? Dude, as always, my voice matters. My voice, my people. I keep telling you, this is my gift, and we use it wisely. You have a good day.
Lump.
Yeah, beats.
Fire friend like me, fire friend like me. If you not want betrayal, fire friend like me, fire friend like me, fire friend like me. If you not want betrayal, fire friend like me.
Bombe oh, fire friend let me. Bombe jene oh, fire friend let me. Fire friend let me. Fire friend let me.
Hey, see bestie, your bestie not sweet like my bestie. Your bestie la bestie, fire friend like me.
I say, see bestie wanting to wealthy. Fire friend let me. I hear them say, they want me go, I say,